There were over 1 million negative tweets about AmberTurd in 10 months. Wow, I want to see it.
Tweets that were negative.
Guys, I missed it today. I want to hear what happened.
That a super majority of them were using one of 4 different hashtags.
And so overall, what did your analysis find regarding negative hashtags about Ms. Heard from April 2020 until the end of January 2021?
Well, there were over 1,243,000 and change uses of those hashtags during that time frame you just mentioned.
And did you perform an analysis of the negative hashtags from April 2020 until January 2022?
Yes, I did.
And what was the result of that?
Wait.
There were over another million, so 2.38.
Twitter expert.
And how did you determine that the tweets were negative about Ms. Heard?
Well, I hadn't been asked that until later on in this, but I didn't think that that would be in controversy. I mean, some of these hashtags are pretty rude, and it would really surprise me that anyone would think.
What were they trying to prove with this guy? What was the point of this? Did anybody know?
Think that they wouldn't.
I'm not being sarcastic. I actually just want to know.
When I was asked about it later, I actually took a random sampling.
That people hate her?
And looked at them and could not find any that were not.
How is that relevant to the case?
Misheard.
And what was the random sampling that you used?
Guys, the smear campaign, even if there was a smear campaign, what does that have to do with anything?
I did 2 of them. They were 1,000 each.
And how did you determine
That has nothing to do with his information, does it?
1,000 tweets to use to review in each search?
I wrote a program that truly selected them at random.
And in your experience, is 2,000 tweets a meaningful sample?
Wait, she's countersuing. So they're doing both suits at the same time, and somebody has to come out on top?
If they're chosen at random in this universe, yes.
Okay. In addition to the 4 hashtags for Ms. Heard, did you review any other? Did you look at any other hashtags?
I did.
And what type of hashtags did you look for?
I looked at what I found to be 6 hashtags that would be negative towards Mr. Depp.
Okay, but Michelle, could you put up demonstrative
Mr. Cow.
Wait,
which
what?
is on the 5th page of attachment 4 of Mr. Schnell's expert designation.
Wait,
Mr. Schnell, did you create
the smear campaign. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. She played a stupid game and she won the prizes. How does that have to do with anything?
this chart?
I did.
And what data is this chart based on?
This is based on the search API from Twitter, and it rolls up the number of tweets with the various hashtags by month of these 2 years. 3 years.
Your Honor, I'd like to I'd make this a demonstrative Schnell demonstrative 1, or do you want it to be a?
If I could get it one of the numbers, since it's going to be part of the record, just.
Okay. Can we call it Schnell demonstrative 1, and then I will give you a number?
Well, the last number I have is 1837. I don't know.
Do we know if that's the last?
Okay, so I can say some dumb shit about somebody, some unfounded garbage, some actual lies, right? Then they don't sue me, let's say, for defamation, right? And people on Twitter call me, oh, dude, you're lying, you're a dumb fuck. And then I sue them for defamation because I got backlash from what I said. Huh? This has to be the most American, fucking North American, United States dog shit I think I've ever seen in my life.
Can we make it?
That is
how about we make it
such
1900?
a fuck.
That way it's not. Can we just make it 1900?
That's perfect.
Okay.
All right. 1900
in a nutshell.
demonstrative.
No, Your Honor.
All right. You can publish that.
They're implying that he
And
used.
is this
They're
the?
implying that he used bots. Dude, the person who used bots, they can't even be tracked.
The chart you made, Mr. Schnell?
It is.
Okay. And at the top here, there are hashtags that are in yellow. You see that?
I do.
Okay. And if we go all the way to the
You
right. Well, first, let's scroll over to the left here. I apologize. You see.
In order to prove somebody is using bots, you would have to show that one person ordered it, the other person carried it out, and the person who carried it out would have to leak the proof that the person asked for it or paid for it, and it had to be a paper trail across the board, which is like normally impossible in those fields.
In 2020, there's the months of June and July.
I do.
Okay. And what are these columns? First, tell the jury what they represent.
So each of these is the number of tweets with the hashtags, with the corresponding hashtag during that month.
Okay. And if we look at the first one in yellow, you see that first hashtag, the fourth one over?
I do.
And are there any?
4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We just don't like you, Amber. 13,000.
What does it show from 2018 to July of 2020?
There were none.
And then what happens in August of 2020?
Well, there's a remarkable jump from July to August of 2020. It goes from 0 to 13,878.
And if we scroll to the right, the last three hashtags, which are highlighted or shows the difference.
That's like saying if I did something really.
$5, but can you search Kerbal Space Program on Steam?
We might do it. We've been in the past. Guys, this is a very boomer moment. This is like saying, if I do something really dumb right now, something really dumb, and somebody tweets out, hashtag xQc is a dumb fuck, right? There was no xQc dumb fuck before today, but now there is. How's the proof of anything?
Difference between June and July. What did your analysis show?
Well, you can see that June is about at its steady state. In July, there's also a remarkable jump.
And that's for all three of those hashtags?
That's correct.
Okay?
And the
If you get popularized it, I'm just gonna hire this guy and sue myself.
hashtags,
Checkmate, dumb fucker.
the hashtags that are in blue are the ones related to Mr. Depp, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, by the way, what is your understanding of when the last alleged defamatory statement was made by Mr. Depp through Mr. Waldman?
My understanding is that it was the end of June of that year.
Of 2020?
Yes.
Now, looking at the hashtags that are highlighted in blue for Mr. Depp, for the months of November and December of 2018 and January of 2019, what does your analysis show?
Well, I see a remarkable jump in November of 2018, and then it starts to.
We are with you, AmberTurd.
Well, it goes way down in December of 18 and January of 19.
What?
And do you know when Ms. Heard wrote the op-ed
Wait,
in this matter?
so when she said some dumb shit, right? She got 47K on her side, right? And when there was a counter argument or whatever, right? There was 1/3 of these numbers in against her favor, and they're still trying to push these statistics.
My understanding
matter.
is that it was December of 2018.
And if we go to November of 2020 for the hashtags related to Mr. Depp, if you see the difference between October of 2020 and November of 2020, what do you see there?
I also see a large jump from
Oh, these ones
October
as
to
well.
November.
No, we don't get it though. These don't defame her because this is not against her. This would be defamatory, right? Justice for Johnny doesn't mean injustice for Amber. That's not how it works.
Of 2020.
Okay. And if we look at the
They say it is.
Last
No, it doesn't.
hashtag.
That's not how it works.
in blue that says Johnny Depp is a wife beater,
Right.
what does that show what did your analysis find in terms of tweets with those hashtags?
It looks to me that also, I mean, there are none prior to, well, little here and there. There are single-digit ones.
What's the difference?
Pri-
Saying you're for somebody doesn't by default mean you're against somebody else. It doesn't. Unless it is said explicitly, you can't push that argument.
Prior to November of
Normally.
2020, there are basically none, and then it jumps up to over 2,000.
And you know what happened?
Because they can both get justice in that sense. They can both get justice and both can win. Therefore, a side doesn't exist unless you make it clear you're on one side and against the other.
And in November of 2020?
My understanding is that's when the UK trial ended.
Okay, we can take this down. And can you put up demonstrative 2, which will make 1901, which will identify as 1901?
That's fine, 1901. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1901 can be published.
And Mr. Banya, what data is this chart based on? Oh, I did the same thing. Mr. Schnell, what data is this chart based on?
This chart is actually based on the data we just looked at, but out until January of 2022.
Somehow, this guy sounds even more insane in this scenario, I feel like, than the person that Dream fucking hired from NASA or some shit for his cheating statistics.
And it's just another way of displaying the numbers in graphical form so that we can see peaks and valleys.
And what are the dotted lines?
So if you look at the top, you can see that the dashed
Because this is
lines
cherry-picked
are,
garbage.
The negative hashtags towards Ms. Heard, and the solid ones are the negative hashtags.
Guys, this is not how people use Twitter. People use hashtags to jump on fucking trends, so their post gets higher up, and they get a higher chance of getting actual fucking attention for their posts. People don't use Twitter this way. Hashtags are irrelevant. Singular posts from people overall gather a much bigger amount of impressions than hashtags in small trending moments by a long shot, to the point where these make these statistics completely irrelevant and obsolete to the fucking topic. This is a joke. This is just a disaster to bring this in court.
And what is being shown here? In your analysis, what is shown with the tweets related to Ms. Heard?
Well, you can see that there's a huge spike in February of 2020, which I believe Mr. Waldman just testified that.
How is this false? You could get more impressions as a big guy with one post than all these motherfuckers combined.
Some kind. There's also a notable, remarkable spike in July of 2020, in November of 2020, and then in March of 2021.
Sorry, I'm done.
And the spike in February 2020, that came before the alleged defamatory statements, correct?
Which one?
The spike in February 2020.
That is correct.
And even though that spike came in before the alleged defamatory statements, even taking account for that spike, what time period has more negative tweets about Ms. Heard, before or after April 2020?
Right. So even taking into account this really large spike in February of 2020, and you look at from the beginning of 2018 until the beginning of 2022.
Chat, doesn't this technically mean I could have sued Blizzard for defamation and probably had a high chance of winning my case?
A majority of the negative tweets are between April of 2020 through the beginning of 2022.
Guys, they said I used something in a racially disparaging way or something like that when I posted an emote that a lot of people use. They would have had to prove in court, right, that what they said wasn't damaging, and then what they said is accurate to what happened. And I think that they kind of lose on both ends.
And do you recall at your deposition being asked that a spike in negative hashtags occurring before April 8th, right before April 8th, 2020?
Objection, hearsay.
I would ask about his attorney.
Overruled. Good.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I remember questions regarding particular dates. Yes.
And what's your understanding as to why there was more negative tweets in April 6th and April 7th than April 8th, 2020?
Objection, no foundation.
Also, tweets don't defame unless
there more
you show
tweets
they do.
In April 6th, on April 6th and April 7th, and in April 8th, 2020, as it relates to Ms. Heard.
If they don't match
Right,
damage
if you
to
look
these
at the
dates
day-by-day,
or this timeline, what does it matter?
Counts, which I supplied to Mr. Depp, and you can see that there's a spike that begins.
Guys, these are random users' tweets, not one person's tweet. These are random users. You're not gonna go and hold every 800,000 people of these people accountable by suing them one by one. That's not how this shit works. I'm saying is that if you do something and people tweet about something, right? You're not defamed. You need to show that the other person defamed you and you lost money because of it.
On April 6th, and goes for a few days. So April 6th is, to my understanding, before what people are calling the alleged defamatory statement.
And did you look at the tweets for April 6th and April 7th?
I did.
And what did you find?
I found that there are Waldman statements that are the same as on the 8th, on the 6th, and the 7th. The Daily Mail on the 6th, and Vanity Fair on the 7th.
And what terms were being
I didn't
used?
pass the bar exam. This isn't about law. This is just about how things are
Well,
explained.
hoax
Like
is
what goes
certainly
on there.
used in each of them.
What?
I think abuse hoax is used in one of them. I don't have it in front of me, but generally speaking, in the 7th, I think it's the same exact terms that are used in the one on the 8th, but the 6th may be slightly different, but it has the word hoax.
Okay. If we can go to the second page of this demonstrative. What's being shown in the second page of this demonstrative?
So this is generally, it's the same data as the first one, but I've removed one hashtag, the Justice for Johnny Depp hashtag, because it kind of overwhelms all the others because there are so many of them. And by removing it, it sort of rescales the graph and you can see the others much better.
Sorry.
And
There's
even
like-
though they looked really tiny in the previous page, you can see that they're big numbers, over 100,000 and stuff. So this shows, and if you look between the two, you can see that the curves are the same. So
He's
it shows
changed
like
weird Champus
a
level.
mathematical
What would you do
correlation
if he slammed a sticker
between
on
all the
the plan?
hashtags.
So what do you mean by mathematical correlation?
Well, they're correlated. You can see the numbers go up and down at the same place.
So I'm understanding the hashtags are essentially all going up and down at the same times?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And can we put up demonstrative exhibit 3?
What?
Which would make 1902.
1902.
That's
Yes,
fine.
thank you.
Guys, I feel like these guys are just setting up this guy to get fucking obliterated by fucking Cross.
All right, any objection to 1902?
No, this is
Yes,
demonstrative.
yes.
These
Okay.
questions are so open-ended. They're just waiting for you to fucking slam your sword into his fucking chest. Like what?
Mr. Schnell, did you create this chart?
I did.
Interpreting data in court is like fucking impossible. I feel like literally impossible.
And what does this chart show?
So what I did was I took the data that I supplied to Mr. Depp, which was the original data.
This is very
from
complicated data.
April of 2020 through January of 2021, and I searched it.
These are like random numbers from a bunch of events that don't even correlate. I don't know. Hey, dude.